Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Colin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Pogacar is amazing. Ahoy.
Hello. Sorry, what are we doing?
Hey,
Why are we whispering?
you still have that mic?
It's somewhere. Has my sound quality not been very bueno?
I'm just curious, because I know you were using it for a little while.
Well, whenever we moved here, I hadn't been, because I used it when we lived in Bartlesville.
Yeah.
I just didn't have like the exact setup yet, and so now that I actually have like my little desk area, like I could use it, but it's just easier setup wise to get like just my phone and use stuff like that instead of having to utilize my laptop every time, which I still could use, but just for simplicity's sakes and not much of a headache, I just plug my phone in. Do I sound bad, or is it?
No, you sound fine. I think what it comes in is whenever you start like doing other things while recording, and then we can hear all of that.
What are you picking up?
Oh, it tends to be like clicks and stuff. I don't know. I think it just depends on where you place your phone. Too.
Oh, how about?
No, I can hear. You're fine right now. Just like.
What about this? Can you hear this?
Move. Stop moving. Anyway, hello. How is all?
Okay.
Hello.
Brandon, welcome.
Sorry,
Thank
I was a
you
little too
for
close to the
joining
mic there. It's all right. Sorry for that. Too close to the microphone introduction. I apologize. I was like pulling it towards me and speaking, and it like hit me in the face. So like, sorry about that.
Man, bad mic technique. Jeez.
I know. Sorry. I was pulling it closer to me, and you went too far.
Man, this has been a weird summer. It's been like cold and rainy. We didn't even hit, but I think we hit 70. Like I think we hit 80 today, and now it's raining again. 65.
Was it raining again there?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's raining, but like torrentially, not just like gobs of it. And then yeah, over the weekend it was like 65. It was like legitimately cold for the summer.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That's not, especially for July.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your normal July. I don't remember what it was here today.
Again.
Shh! Don't tempt it. We don't.
I'm not wanting it to. I'm just waiting for it to happen because I know it.
Don't tell it. Don't give it any ideas. Well, yeah, it's supposed to rain here later, I guess. I just looked at the radar. Like, oh, rain coming your way. Apparently, Colin's going to share. How nice.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Oh, that's a lot of rain.
I have rain. Yeah. It's like,
boy.
It's a huge amount of rain.
It's a very large swath of rain.
Mm-hmm. We've got rain for the next hour here.
Eek.
Anyway, how's
all right, then.
How's everybody's week?
Pretty good, really.
Yeah.
We did a little day tripperino yesterday, so
right,
that was interesting. Went out on an adventure. We went to Kansas City.
Nice.
Yeah. So we went to downtown to Union Station to the Auschwitz exhibit they got going on there.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yo. Oh man. It's so good.
Not exactly
so good.
A happy tour, but I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's really good. Yeah, it's really good. We once again managed to go through a museum, and then like we were ushered out because they're like, we're closing. Like, oh, we're
Whoops.
not done. We were in there for like 3.5 hours, and we went there again. But we are very slow museumers.
Closing down the museum.
Other people probably don't have this problem, but this is something that's happened to us before. So, like, this is a chronic problem with Susan and I. But yeah, she wanted to go see that thing up there. It's like a traveling thing. It's like apparently a big deal. And so it was really good. I wasn't really a fan of how they set up the exhibit, just like the space, you know, like the way they had it. But again, I can't be too grumpy because they took an exhibit and they had to like stick it in an existing area, you know? So like you get some pass for there. It just was the pacing was weird, and like the way that they had to get it to fit in there was lots of weird like bottlenecks where like a whole bunch of people would be stuck in this one area, and then like one room was like this really big wide room, and they had to go through like a little door, and like all the exhibits and a lot of the walking tours started like right at the door, so like everyone was like crammed in. So that was a little bit weird, but again, they had to use the space they had, right? So, but it's pretty cool. We wandered around Union Station a little bit. I haven't been there since like I was a very small person.
Wee lad.
Yeah, because so from what I can gather, the history of the building is they were going to tear it down in the early 90s. Right? For the listeners not familiar with Kansas City, it's the giant like old train station building. So it's like huge, like stone building. It's massive, right? And they were going to tear it down. And then I guess the city and some people were like, hey, wait a minute. What if we just restore it and do stuff with it? So that's what they did. And I think we went there with Uncle Gary like once, like after they did it, maybe.
Yeah, we must
like after they kind of like finished it, like somewhere in the mid to late 90s. I was there.
It's such a pretty building. My goodness.
It really is. I did not remember that. So we just sort of wandered around the old platform area. It's just like this huge empty hallway. But at the end, they do have a model train museum. If you were unaware, they have like a model train exhibit thing, which is pretty rad. And they have like a train, like the Amtrak museum thing.
Yeah.
We didn't go to that one.
Yeah.
Because we were on other business. But so we did that. It is a really cool building though. And how they have redone it is really neat. Things I did not appreciate when I was like, 12. Just architecturally, from an architectural standpoint.
Yeah.
It was really cool. But the exhibit itself was really awesome. We kind of had to, it was bad because we had to like rush through the end part, which was like the stuff from the camp, right? So we kind of had to, we had to rush through that a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was annoying. But, it was really good. And so, yeah, we did this week. Went to the Auschwitz thing. It was really cool. They had like, just stuff from the people, some of their belongings, and the way they have it set up is just really like,
wow.
Oh, man. And it kind of starts out with like some of the history and like Germany at that time, the rise of the Nazi Party. And then it kind of just goes chronologically through the liberation of Auschwitz. So, but they have some stuff in there that'll like, they have like some of the fences, and you're sort of standing in this dark room next to this giant fence. You're like,
oh God,
whoa, yeah,
it's heavy.
Yeah, it's really like,
wow,
whoa. And like the very first thing in there is like a shoe. And, famously, that was all that was left of a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was just like they found those like piles of shoes. And so like there's just one. They had it on a little pedestal thing in like this dark room, this illuminated red women's shoe on a pedestal. It was like, dang. That's, ouch.
That's pretty
Gets you
powerful.
right there. Yeah. And outside, and they had brought in one of the train cars. Yeah. So it was really cool. We really this is a weird sentence, but we enjoyed the exhibit, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, we weren't like, oh man, this is great. Like,
Yeah,
it was really good. Just that we really, it's weird to say that. Like, that's a sentence that doesn't exactly make sense, but like we enjoyed it. It was really good. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. And other than that, on a lighter note,
yeah,
to get away from some of the heavy topics here, I've been watching the world's most disappointing Shark Week. Discovered. Why? What have you done?
So it's really gone downhill over the years, hasn't it?
Well, like a lot of times it's like, okay, this one was good. This one's not so good. This one's like, okay. Last year, a bunch of them were like really good.
Mm-hmm.
Weirdly. And so like this year, it's swung in the opposite direction. They have like tons of guest people, but they're like guest people I don't care about. Like Brad Paisley and
what?
Yeah, Tiffany Haddish. I had to look up who that even was.
I don't know who that is.
The Johnny Knoxville and the crew were on there.
Doing what?
Yeah. Johnny Knoxville and the crew things. All the things that you should not be doing with sharks, they were doing, clearly. Surprise, one of them got bit because they tried to jump a wakeboard over a bunch of sharks. And they crashed and they landed in a big pile of like bull sharks or like reef sharks or something. And blam, got bit right on the hand. Who would have saw that coming? But it's just like, it's really terrible. It's really not interesting. And I think one thing that stands out, because they don't have like the normal, maybe they're trying to get away from like, oh, here's all the normal shark people that we have on the show. Every single show, not every single show, but like the majority of them, they feel so heavily scripted.
Oh,
it's like painful.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a whole bunch of people that know anything about sharks. They're just sort of there for some exposure crossover event. They're just kind of like doing stuff. And so it just feels so scripted. And it's really painful because it's just so like, you can tell some of it's like really scripted or like over almost. You're like, wow, this is not, this is not good. So Discovery Channel, here's my official plea. If you need some hosts who are comfortable with improvisation and love wild animals, I am going to go ahead and formally volunteer and request the Oh Brother Shark Week. That's what Discovery Channel, I know you're listening. That's what we need. We're your guys, right? We're ready.
Pretty much born ready for this.
I know, right?
Happy to be
this. We're happy to help you out. The only thing we really need is like really high SPF sunscreen. Okay. Other than that, other than that, we're ready.
We're ready.
So I think,
well, I am 100% on board with this and welcome the offer that we can review at any time. But my favorite thing to do during Shark Week is to get onto Shark Biologist Twitter and read what they're talking about during this time.
I bet it's bad.
And it is so much more amazing for what they're sharing. and the research that they're doing and the photos and
Oh, it's good. As long as they're,
no,
I bet their comments on some of the shows are great.
Oh, they're pretty brutal. That's for sure about things. But because a lot of them just as part of their research now, they're just having fun, doing diving, and they'll take GoPros with them. And so you get this footage from all across the globe from people who, are out there doing actual research. This is just kind of for fun that they're videoing it. One of these shark researchers, they were down at this reef and they're actually kind of distracted by this other little fish that they were going and swimming after. And he just casually pans up, and going right above them is this massive, like huge 6-gill shark that's going right overhead. And you can kind of see the film. You can see the camera kind of like jerk a little bit as the guy's like, "Holy crap!"
Look, Discovery Channel, I want on our resume, we already know what 6-gill sharks are. So, boom.
See?
There we go.
Boom.
We'll be on that show. We want to be on that one that's like, every once in a while they have the show that's like not great white hammerhead, or like great white tiger shark or bull shark. They have like the other sharks. We'll do that one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I love random sharks. Okay. There's like 500 species of shark. We got to get some more of them on the show, right?
I think what you may get is the patented Oh Brother top 5 list.
Oh, you would get the top 5 Oh Brother favorite sharks. That's what. Oh man.
Without a doubt. See,
boom.
I propose next year we do some planning and do our own Shark Week episode.
Okay. All right. We'll put that on the topic list. The Oh Brother Shark Week episode for next year. All right. Aaron, you down for the Oh Brother Shark Week special next year?
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
All right. Perfect. I like it.
Done.
Here we go. Other than that, lastly, Tour de France update. Tadej Pogacar is a monster. And anybody who thinks they're going to outclimb him on a mountain is woefully mistaken. Right. Holy cow.
Yeah. The move that he made today where he
that was so disgusting.
He didn't need to.
No, he did not. He's ahead by 5 minutes from all those dudes. And he was just like, no, I'm winning. Get out of here. Get out. Yeah. And I think like just kind of thinking back, I was thinking about this. The past, like this year has been so much more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Because it is not like Team Sky on the front with 8 riders just all the time. Like never, even when they had the yellow jersey, they would like never attack anybody. They never really went for stage wins.
No, because they were all about
like
time.
Chris Froome did like once. And like they were just like, we're just going to stare at our power meter, and I know that I need to put out this many watts for this many kilometers and take this much time. Blah 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 blah.
No, you're
boring.
Right. I think it was today's stage. There was like a sprint for 13th.
Yeah.
And they were like what if you like literally everybody is racing for everything.
Yeah,
it's a lot more fun and
it's more exciting. And like the end, like the last 2 stages, like at the end, the very end of the stage, like every mountain stage basically has been the guys that are in the top like 4 places, just like hammering each other.
Yeah,
their team is gone. There's not like 17 Skyriders. Ineos Grenadiers, whatever that means.
Exactly. Thank you.
Just stamping out on the pedals for hours of boredom. This is like some old school, like we haven't seen this since 2011.
Yeah.
Right? That was the last year. Like 10 years ago, that was when Cadel Evans won. Every year since then, it has been somebody from Team Sky / Ineos Grenadiers, except for last year, And that one year where Chris Froome crashed on the cobblestones, we learned Chris Froome can't ride cobblestones.
No.
Conveniently, no cobblestones in the Tour de France since then, I don't think. That's weird. Huh.
Those are the classics.
And then Vincenzo Nibali won that year.
Yeah.
Because Chris Froome doesn't understand how cobblestones work.
They're not.
So, like... So, yeah, that's... It's just been such a breath of fresh air and excitement. And again, I didn't get to watch last year. I hear it was different last year too, but it's just been so much more exciting to just see them all like attacking each other, like one-on-one, like this is old school, like Miguel Indurain nonsense, right? Like, or like even like Alberto Contador, some like Contador approved just assault in the mountains, right? It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of that older writing. I mean, even into the 90s.
Like Marco Pantani, right? Yeah. Some of those attacks that he would do on those mountains. If you see those videos, those old videos from the 90s, man.
I love watching him climb.
That dude just like, yeah.
Insane.
So it's been a lot of fun. So this is last week. So it'll be good, exciting. See, just nothing really exciting left. We'll see Mark Cavendish get 36 wins.
Yeah. So think he's going to get it?
Yeah, he's going to win tomorrow and on the Champs-Elysees. Definitely.
They're going to get it.
There's really no way. There's nobody else even close as fast as him. He's going to win 2 more. Done.
Yeah. No, there you go.
So I don't like it, but it's the truth. Nobody in this tour is even remotely that fast. So,
but you know,
and especially on the last day in Paris, there's
it's going to be.
You're not going to be in there. That's just like a dead, straight, flat finish line.
Yeah, right.
No way.
Unless something happens to him between now and then, but yeah, it's really looking.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else is there. Everybody else needs a hill, like Wout van Aert, hill, Sonny Colbrelli, hill. Caleb Ewan is dead, so like nobody's winning. There you go.
I'm trying to remember the quote that Eddy Merckx said about the what he said, because you know he's going to beat his stage wins. I think he said something like, "Oh, that's fine. It's not. Those aren't really that important. I have more tour wins anyway." Or something.
Yeah, he's like, I have more yellow jerseys.
Yeah.
And it's like, how many? Yeah, he said something on Twitter like, how many times you win?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. 0.
Brutal response. He's like, how do you feel now I'm breaking your record? He's like, that's fine. I have more yellows. Like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and again, like, Mark Cavendish is an old school sprinter. Like they don't sprint like that anymore either. Because I remember in 2011 when I started watching, that was when you had like full lead outs for every sprint. So every team that was sprinting, there would be like 4 lead out trains, like perfectly straight lead out train for everyone. Nowadays, it's like you get one guy at the end.
Maybe.
You got one guy and he's your lead out. You don't have the train through the whole thing, through that whole sprint deal. You don't have that anymore. And so, like, that's the style that Mark can do because he's like track pursuit. Like, you know, I'm going to be in the back and then I'm going to fling out. That style is not around anymore. And so, like, because De Koenig can kind of do that because they have so many riders, like, nobody else is going to be able to deal with that. Like, with their, like, one guy that helps them get to the line. No way.
Right.
No way. And teams don't come to the tour like explicitly for sprinting anymore.
Yeah.
Which they used to.
Yeah.
You know, they'd be like, oh, we have a sprinter and our whole thing is sprinter. Mm-hmm. Now we've got this sprinter, but we also have our GC guy, you know.
Well, and that's what makes it hard.
And our breakaway guy, and our, you know.
Right. Is that it used to be, you know, some teams, you're right, some teams were there for the mountain. Some teams were there for the sprint. Some people were there for the GC. So it really made a lot more, I think, diversity in team build and style. That
because they were specialized, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Which made it more fun to watch because you knew, okay, this is going to be a true sprint stage, or this is going to be a true mountain stage, or whatever. I think the mountains are still kind of there, but even then, it's not quite like the team isn't built there. It's more like, hang on and see if you can make it.
Yeah. So it's all right. It's interesting. It's new and exciting. Just like I said, this year's been exciting. I've liked it.
Yeah.
Tade's fun. He seems like a nice dude. So that's cool. Seems like a nice guy hanging out. He was like, oh, congratulating the guy that he beat today. He was like, giving him back. All right, man. Nice job. His mom and dad were there today. That was hilarious. Because they were like joking, like, you'll never find his parents up there. And then the guy that does the interviews is like, hey, Phil and Bob, you'll never guess who I ran into. And it was Tade's mom and dad. Like,
yeah.
It's hilarious.
Oh, you know, it's like, no, they're going to find them. They are going.
That was funny.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, other than that, it's exciting. I'll be sad when that's over, but I have some Olympics coming up, so maybe we'll watch some of those. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit sparse in the
it's very weird
stadium here.
Yeah. So, I think that's probably for the best, really. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. What about you guys? How's your week been?
That was pretty interesting. Some new developments had occurred, so got some. I texted you guys yesterday, but it was traditional work was a little less chaotic, and it kind of looked like there wasn't like, my school year's coming, so probably another year of this, and then I had a few interviews, and like it was like kind of like the first time I ever actually like sent an interview to somebody, and then they're like, "Hey, call us." I'm like, "What?" Because usually like you have to wait for like a few days, and then now they'll finally like get in contact with you, or like a week, and they're like, "Hey, no," like, "Yeah, call us." They're like, "We'll see you down here." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I know where that's at. Like an hour from where I live." And so had to sprint at work down there, and a little bit more chaotic than I thought. And interviewed, and then I had yesterday off, and I was getting interviewed with a bunch of places, and they're like, "Hey, you have an interview." And they're like, "JK, you don't have an interview." And I was like, "But wait, that's not how interviews work."
Yeah, that's really messed up. Like I
had another school call me, which like throughout this whole process of me finding a teaching job, it's either been like really small schools, because that's kind of more where I fit in, get reacclimated, have like a better start. But then like a 6A school called me, and really, really nice school. And I was like, "Whoa, fancy. Oh, you guys actually have like an indoor practice facility and like all this." And I was like, "Oh wow, this is crazy." But they didn't really offer me the position that I wanted, and they didn't really like know what they were gonna have like the next few days. And I was like, whatever. And then like I went to lunch, and the school that I interviewed Tuesday with, they called me, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to be our history teacher and football and baseball coach?" I was like, "Yes." So as of yesterday, I am the new high school history with a sprinkle in of some middle school for I don't know if I can say the school online. I don't think I'm going to bother with that.
You don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be. I wanted this process to be a lot sooner, because for me, practice starts August 9th. And my last day with the department is July 30th. I went ahead and that's a process I've never like had to do before. Is actually like type of a like legitimate letter resignation. Because like beforehand, it's like, all right, hey, I'm out. Or when I was like serving and bartending, I was like, hey, I'm texting you my resignation. Like, all right, see ya. So like that was like, it was different. And I was kind of worried. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, people are going to hate me. But like my boss was like, dude, this is what you've been wanting to do. I'm super proud of you. And I was like, thank you. This is really awesome. And then like I sent my letter this morning. I wanted to send it as like quickly as possible because I didn't want to be like, here's a case or something. So
Which
I sent it out. So my director and our programs manager emailed me back, and they're super proud of me and excited for me. And I was like, you guys are the best. And so they were like, yeah, we'll we'll get you set up and on your way. So next week, I think they're gonna have a goodbye or farewell to arms kind of ordeal for me, so I can go and say goodbye to everybody. But they're like, hey, there's a training thing you have to go to. It's like, oh, but like I'm not part of it. So like, no, you still need to go to it. And I was like, crap. So yeah, so I'll go do that next week.
God. That's hilarious.
It's not like a big like training. It's not like a stupid defensive driving class I had to take. And it's not anything like super major. It's like, we're going over like policy stuff, and I'm like, question.
Yeah, but still.
And they're like, and so my supervisor is like, well, you don't have it'd be awesome if you still went, but you don't have to like, participate in like the activities. I'm like, oh, good, because I wasn't gonna. And so that was a little irking. I was like, really?
That's ridiculous.
So from the 2 weeks now, because what happens before is that like people would leave, like, all right, here's my stuff, clean the mess, and they're like, whoa, hey, now you can't just leave. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we need to do. And so I never wanted to be like that kind of person. So I am making sure I have all of my ducks in a row and everything before I, transfer my entire caseload to somebody. So these either things are closed or it's manageable. Because I'm like,
or it's all laid out. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to leave you guys high and dry kind of ordeal. So from now until July 30th, I have to close. I'm going to try to close like 5 cases, and I have like 6 cases maybe. But it's weird. Like, I don't really have to, unless it's like, like an emergency or like a family or something that I need to follow up with something, it's just like, I don't have to answer my phone. I don't have to go on call anymore. I don't have to do anything like that anymore.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, they take me off. They take me off of full rotation. I don't have to take any cases.
Any new cases. Yeah.
Any new cases. Yeah. So
I mean, that makes sense. That would be weird.
Yeah. So, I was all excited, and then when the principal called me, he's like, "Hey, this is the coach, blah 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 blah," and we have our first meeting August 9th, and that's when practice starts. I'm like, whoa, okay. So intermittently working and trying to come up with a lesson plan, and I have to like learn 8-man football. The place in question is a very small school. There are some famous Oklahomians that are from that area, but it's like, I was like, oh, so I remember going through the little meeting thing, and he's like, oh, so like, is the middle school like in high school, like, are they separate? He's like, no, like, you're like, it's one hallway. That's it. Like, oh, okay. So
that's how the cool kids do it. It's fine. That's how.
Yeah, it's how ours is. Yeah, but yours is like offset things. Like, ours is like legitimately like one long hallway.
Oh, okay.
That's and so yeah, so it's a wee different, but comparatively, I was ogling over the 6A school, which for those of you listening who don't know, here in the States, we have classifications for school sizes, and in Oklahoma, there's 6A, and then there's like 6AB or something like that, and it's like for like the big like schools, Tulsa, like Union, Jinx, places like that. And so the place that I interviewed with was 6A. It was nice. It was super fancy.
Yeah, see the episode Lost in Union High School, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And so
I need to go.
It's one of those things. And so for me, I was like mesmerized by how like awesome this place was. But I think for me mentally and to get reacclimated back into teaching, and plus, growing up in a small town, not as small as this place, but it just felt kind of a better fit, and I know I would be doing a lot more for this place, so that's where I picked, and I'm excited to. And of course, our father was, when I was on the phone with them, trying not to cry in excitement. He was like, "Now, how do you get there again? Like, where is it?" Like, "Oh, I see it on Google Maps right here." And I was like,
true. He has to have a mental image of like literally every place in the world in his head at all times.
And of course, he's like, "Yeah, no, I remember going down that highway in the 90s." And I'm
exactly.
Like,
that's definitely.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, sounds about right. So, yeah. So, July 30th. July 30th will be my last day at the Department of Human Services, Child Welfare. My supervisor was super supportive. My other supervisor, who's actually been sick and who's been a real big support, he called me, and there's kind of a lot of people leaving, and he's like, hey brother, I just want to reach out to you. And I was like, so yeah, it's definitely, it hasn't hit me yet. Give me about like another like week or two, and I might be calling Brandon like, how do I teach geography? So
I got you, man.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
Super proud of you, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It kind of sucks after a while of like, applying to these places, and either getting like zero response or like, oh, hey, come on in. Like, oh, hey, psych. And then the day Shelby's scheduled to come back, which she flew in like afternoon yesterday, everything started to work. And I'm like, oh, you're the reason, because you were gone and no one wanted me. Now that you're back,
found your secret sauce.
Yeah, so she's
little Shelby secret sauce there.
She's the lucky cham, but
so
it's been a. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask. Are you going to move a little closer and split the difference halfway now, or are you going to wait for a while?
Maybe not the first year. Hop, skip, and a jump down to Tulsa, and boom, you're there. Mine's an hour. But it's all like decent highway.
Oh, so it's not
but everyone
too
that I've talked to is like, oh, you got to be careful of this small town. And like everybody that I told, they're like, oh yeah, I got pulled over in that little town. I'm like, nice. Oh,
well, yeah,
cool.
That's
So yeah, there's that. Yeah, I got to learn 8-man football. And yeah, it's I'm excited.
And we'll dig into those geography standards later. They're pretty exciting. Man,
the Oh Brother after show.
Yes, that's true.
Oh Brother after dark. So
yeah, we'll spare you listeners that one.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
My other follow-up question for you would be, since the Shelbynator has returned, was she satisfied with the state of her houseplants?
Oh, this is good.
Did
she know
a few of them? Yeah, so like one or two of them might have been a little overwatered.
But overall, not bad. Overall, we did well.
Nothing. It's kind of one of those things. It's like I'm not mad. but she wasn't disappointed. So
okay, well there we go. That's good.
it was
That's
just
good.
more of a. Oh well, at least some of them are still here. But no, some of them, most of them are alive in some shape or form.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Just make sure you weren't in like super hot water when she came home. Like, what happened to my fur? No, like, listen, I can explain.
These are none of my plants. Why you still have the tag?
I don't remember having this plant before. Oh no, it's been there the whole time. It's fine.
I had to stop by and talk to a very nice neighbor lady who
I had to stop by Lowe's Garden Center and
resides up by the what is it called? By the gym that I go to of our apartment complex. And I'm like, hey,
question.
How is your fern so nice? And then she kind of walked me through. And
weird intro.
Super helpful, super nice lady. Every time I go up there and go and work out or something, she always smiles and waves, and so she's very nice.
There we go.
But
that's good news.
It was
all right.
It was a little touch and go there for a little bit, but there Shelby might give you like a different statement, but but they are still there.
All right,
and yeah, no one's caught on fire. We're fine. We're doing fine.
All right,
we're fine.
Good. I'm glad you passed the fern test.
Yep, that's what we'll call it. And it didn't help after we kind of set in for the night. There's an episode of Bob's Burgers where they're talking about plant sitting. I'm like, oh come on, you just give me a break for 5 seconds? Like that's all you have to do. I'm trying. We all know that. So
that's great.
I love it. Well, good. I'm glad you survived, and they survived.
Thank you.
Ish.
They're still here. They're still might have had to throw out a wicker basket, but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Well, I think it's interesting that your last day is July 30th because my last day with the department is July 23rd.
Whoa.
It's craziness around here. What the heck?
What is happening?
What is this nonsense? Listeners, I'm not going anywhere. I haven't. They're stuck with me. Haha.
No, yeah, exactly. Well, no. So we must give it. Yeah. The podcast isn't going anywhere either. We're just
That's true. Yeah, that's right. There'll be more time for the podcast.
More time now. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm leaving the department, and Megan and I are going full time into pet sitting. Da da da.
Oh.
Have you told Dad yet?
I have not told Dad yet. So when this episode comes out, not that he would still have made it 45 minutes into the episode, but
that's true. That's true.
So I have not. Yeah, Aaron, I have not told Dad yet because I don't know how he's going to react. But we are very excited. And yeah, so yeah, so we're going to go full time pet sitting. It's going to give us more time for Megan to homeschool, for me to work on the business, and then for me to do more with podcasting stuff too, because I've got some things kind of waiting in the wings that I just need more time to do. So, but yeah, my boss was very excited for us. And the same thing like you, Airman. Everyone was like, "Great, cool, go have fun." We had an all employees WebEx meeting on Tuesday, and after that, my boss stopped in my office and was like, "I bet you're really glad you're leaving now, huh?" They're not to rack on them too much, but they have a policy where you can get reimbursed for a portion of your cell phone if you use it for work, and most people do. So the department has something like 1,600 employees. A little less than half you get the stipend. I get the stipend because I check my email on my phone. That qualifies me. That's all I need to do.
Yeah.
Well, they went through what they call a lean event, where they take a process and they try to make it shorter and more simple. And this process involved the accounting necessary to keep track of who had the policy, or who had the who had the stipend. And well, turns out that they were sick and tired of all of the accounting, so they just gave the stipend to everybody, which is fine, except you can't opt out of it, and there are like things that you now have to do as far as like accounting wise on your end for phone usage and like turning things in and record keeping and downloading certain apps for communication that they require and all this stuff. And it's now going to become part of, it is required. Every new hire will be required to show proof that they have a cell phone in order to work for the department.
Weird.
Yeah. And I think that's a bit much.
That's a bit much. That's no good, man.
No.
No.
So anyway, but yeah, so the 23rd will be the last day. My leaving had nothing to do with any of those policies, or anything going on within the department. And I had to stress that a lot because the department's been kind of in like really rocky roads the entire time that I've been here. So I really,
I was gonna say,
like literally everybody that I talked to was like, look, no, I understand like all that stuff was going on, but I'm not leaving because of it. I'm leaving just because of this of this opportunity that we want to try and take advantage of.
I gotta sit pets, bro.
And see what
so if you need a pet sitter when you go out hog chasing, hit me up. But it's also like, so in the anyway, so just you have to do more stuff. And I got so yeah, no, we're really excited about that. The big changes, but no changes. I guess. So we'll yeah,
that was my big news.
That'd be interesting. See how it goes. I'm interested to see how the business big man knows.
Yeah. Me too. Be good though. So we should probably jump into our main topic today.
We probably should.
Which was we're 15 minutes into this.
We started at 8:15. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you had to walk things.
Right. Sure.
So, listeners, we have decided that this week, mostly I suggested this idea because I am sitting at home with not a lot to do currently. And so whenever they talk about things like, hey, what are we going to talk about this week? I go, dang it. So we have investigated a genre of movie this week, and we have all picked one to talk about, at least one. So this week's installment, brought to you by Aaron's suggestion, the Heist movie. Right? So before we go about our picks, what do you think about the genre in general, and are you a fan? Have you had much experience watching these type of movies before? Is it something that you like or something that you were not really that familiar with? What are your thoughts on the genre in general?
Yeah, so I had to do some thinking about what exactly constituted a heist movie. And just from like my perspective of what would categorize it as a stereotypical heist movie. I have not watched, I don't know, like I've watched like Ocean's 11 and kind of that series and the Italian Job, both old and new. And I feel like that's pretty much the extent of my heist jobby film.
Okay.
Which don't, but like, okay, so maybe like the original Mission Impossible is kind of a heisty film. But, but I basically distilled it down to this. In a heist movie, obviously they have to be stealing something for someone. But I think what makes it more than that is there has to be the scene where they're building the team, right? Or they're practicing, like they're running through what they're going to do to pull it off. And then they actually have to do the heist, right? So I think a very integral part is the building the team and bringing people in and working through their each skill set. Like every person's got something that they contribute or they bring to it. And that's kind of how I formulated what a heist movie was. And when I was scrolling through things, tried to, without knowing too much about the films, obviously, because then I have to watch them, but like,
Yeah.
is this going to fit that or what?
Yeah. Aaron, what about you?
So kind of in the same boat with like Colin. Growing up with a lot of like the heist films that I watched, even though like kind of like the earlier Mission Impossibles weren't really heist-esque, but there was always some sort of goal of like to steal something or find something. And so a lot of the heist movies that I like first started watching were more kind of like actiony, and like it kind of teetered on that like, full on action packed movie instead of like, the main thing is to like, steal something. So for me looking into this, I kind of wanted something that was, a good representation of like, yes, even though this is like a heist movie, it's still kind of focused on, stealing that something or finding that, that one thing in some manner or form. But yeah, that was kind of like the biggest struggle, is finding, for me anyways, of just finding that something that was like, oh yeah, this is, it's a heist movie, but it's not like action like 100% of the time.
Interesting. Yeah. So when I was looking this up, I kind of like, I just sort of Googled like heist movie, and turns out that I have seen lots of them, right? I didn't really realize it, but what is classified on the internet as a heist movie, I have seen a ton of them, right? I was like, oh, I've seen that. Oh, I've seen that one too, right? But like, I kind of agree with what you both have said here so far, is that like, there's a difference between like a heist movie and then like a crime drama, right? Because in like a crime movie, they will steal things, right? A lot of times they're like, oh, we stole this thing, or there's a, there's lots of that kind of stuff in there. They will steal things in a crime drama, and there'll be like all this stuff. But like the heist movie, I think I would agree with what Colin said, was like, you really need to have that like team aspect, right? A heist movie has a lot of people working together to accomplish the goal.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that is a pretty important part of the heist movie formula. So if you don't have that like team aspect, what you have is a crime drama, which are good, and I like those movies as well, but they don't feel the same, right? Because in the heist movie, one other clarification I think is important is like every part of the team has like their own role.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like that, where like every part of the team is like an expert in something, is what makes it more heisty. Because a lot of times in crime dramas, they're going to like, they'll steal something, but they'll like rob a bank, and it's just like they all rob the bank. Right. There's not like a specialist role for anybody. And I feel like that if you don't have that, it doesn't make it a heist movie. It doesn't have that same feeling. Because I kind of, how I did this is I just sort of like watched a bunch of these that I already had or like had seen before to kind of get the feeling of the genre, And some of the ones that I watched were like, I wasn't really getting the heist vibe. Like, it's like a crime movie and it's kind of this, but then, you have to have that special little sauce on it. And I think a big part of that sauce, like Colin was saying, was that teamwork aspect, and that everybody needs to contribute something special to the team. Not just like a gang of dudes going and robbing a bank. Right. So that's what that was my general thoughts on the genre. Along with, whoa, I've seen a lot of these. So who wants to go first? Who wants to tell us about their heist movie recommendation?
Well, I'll go because my heist movie was not of stealing something. It was of incepting something. What? They had to so I watched Inception. And yeah, so the plot there was the businessman wants to plant an idea of his competitor to sell his business and to make it feel like it was the dad's idea to do that he'll go out of business and that is the other guy's business, blah blah. And it spirals from there of how they can do an inception on this competitor. And so that's the actual heist, right? The heist is planting this idea or thought in this person's brain. And to do that, they have to go through the different levels of the subconscious. But it has all of these elements. Like it has Leonardo DiCaprio's character going and building his team of who's going to be the architect, who's the guy controlling the sleep medication, who's the guy doing the this other stuff, and who's watching, and then he's actually doing this. He's gonna pull the heist. Then they've been practicing these things. Then when they actually go to pull it off, obviously it doesn't go as planned, which I kind of like when it doesn't go exactly what it was supposed to. The only real problem for this one is that it's so dang complicated and hard to follow that the through line gets lost. And if you've ever seen this movie, I can't even really begin to describe like what happens, because they have to go down through different levels of subconscious to try and break down the barriers, get to the point where they can plant the idea. They have to go like 3 or 4 levels down within their subconscious, and they have to have these coordinated kicks to bring them out to back consciousness so they can plant the idea. And the main character is also like battling these his subconscious as his wife keeps coming in to sabotage things, and it's all obviously very convoluted. But I do like, again, I think at its essence, it is a heist movie because it has the group, it's got the training, it's got the specialties, and then it's got the mission that they're trying to accomplish.
That's very interesting. I actually did not know that Inception was considered a heist movie. Right.
I don't know if it.
I've never seen it, and I didn't know anything about the plot. Right. So I never would have guessed that it was heisty in nature. Right. I never would have had no idea.
And I didn't
from all the marketing and all the stuff I've seen, like nothing.
So yeah, I saw it bubble up on a couple again of these lists that were, but not all of them. And I was like, well, that's weird because I didn't think it was. It's not what I thought it was. Can't really tell you what I remember. I thought it would be confusing because that's literally what everybody said.
That's true. Yeah.
Deeper.
That's the only thing I've heard too.
Deeper meanings, and they're they have to sedate the target, and then they enter his dreams, and they have to ward off all of his subconscious alerts that are trying to throw it off that it is a dream and keep it more like feel like it's still reality. But they can't they can't do the inception right at the surface level because it'll be too obvious to the target. So they have to keep going down and down and down and down. And each level that they go through is designed by the dream architect to make a whole world that's going to be believable to the target so that he still thinks he's in reality. And that's where Ellen Page is the architect that designs each world after certain events and things in this person's life so that it's believable to them, and to make it real. And they do end up, spoiler alert, I guess, they do pull it off. And then they get kicked out. They do the kick. It's called kick, where you remove yourself from the subconscious so you can go back into the real world. But But at the end, you're still kind of left going, well, did they make it out? Are they actually in the real world? Is it because you're trying to keep track of, okay, they went down 3, oop, back up 1, down 2, back up, like, and then like it ends. You're like, oh, wait a minute, is that actual reality? I don't know. And I think that's part of the movie too. But yeah, so I enjoyed it, and specifically watching it as a heist made it very much more enjoyable than just like a sci-fi thriller or something.
That's interesting. That's really cool. I think you brought up something, and I meant to say. I think another important element of a heist movie is something has to go wrong, and then you kind of have that element of how do the characters deal with it. You know what I mean? I think that's another kind of ingrained, like that's a very heist movie trope that like makes it go well.
Yeah,
because usually something goes wrong and they deal with it in some way, and that's kind of that second to third act kind of like action-y bit of the movie, you know. It makes it interesting.
Yeah.
So Aaron, what about you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Aaron.
So I took kind of like a little bit different approach to this. I kind of wanted something that was like, even though like still heisty, but something that was kind of, you know, a little bit unconventional. And so I chose one of the movies out of the Lupin the Third series. It's from a Japanese manga series, and there's like a bunch of movies that I actually didn't really realize. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ish. Actual like movies that came out in theaters. The one that I've known or at least heard about the most, and I've seen like a long time ago. It's called Lupin the Third: Castle of Cagliostro. Apologies for the butchering of this. So in this, you know, since there's kind of like an established series, I was caught like a little off guard with some of the characters, but there's kind of like a reoccurring cast of characters. There's Lupin, who's like the main kind of like thief kind of person, and then he's got his, you know, arms expert, and then there's like a samurai guy that hangs out with him, and then throughout all of this, there's an inspector from Interpol that's always kind of like chasing him. And it's kind of it kind of reminds me of like, because it's more of a comedy, but there's still some sort of drama to it, and it's got like a little bit. It's got like a bunch of influences and or some stuff that it has influenced over time, or that you see things of like, you know, kind of the old 19th, because the animated series, this movie in particular is from 1979, and it's kind of got some of those goofy, you know, animated sequences, or, you know, there's like a weird car chase or kind of things like that. And so the plot of this one is they rob a bank and they find out the money's counterfeit. And so to find out where the counterfeit's coming from, they go to kind of like this country, and there's a count, and he's all like really rich and powerful, and they find out like, oh, he's the person that's counterfeiting this. And so it's kind of like a mixed hybrid of trying to like kidnap the princess for not wanting to marry this count, and trying to, you know, have people find out that it's that the counterfeit process is here, and there's, you know, them getting ready and then them failing, and then, you know, there's a quote unquote plot twist, and then and kind of all of this stuff that kind of intermingles. The ending's kind of weird, because like the whole time it's like, oh, he's gonna get with the princess, and then he's like, oh, I'm the bad guy, you don't want to get with me, and then just like leaves, and we're like, what? Okay, cool. So there's a little mix of that in between some things, and so that's kind of different. I have not seen any of the other movies in the series, but if you just want something that's kind of enjoyable, that's got those quirky, you know, like early anime tropes in it. It's a really fun movie to watch. Apparently, this is not the best heist movie out of the series. There's apparently like one or two more that's actually like them actually like robbing a bank and having to go through the process. This one was just fun. It was also easily accessible on Netflix. So if you want to check it out, it's just fun. It's only like an hour and 30 minutes, but it's got some interesting, I don't want to say dialogue because it's that dubbed series, but it's got some interesting effects, some cool, like intriguing fight scenes that aren't like typical. It's just a fun movie because it's like, oh, they're doing this. Like, oh, wait, he also did this. Oh my gosh. So that's where I picked it, just because it was something that just a smidge different.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Like I said, my approach was kind of like, well, I'm going to watch a ton of movies and kind of see what I distill out of this, and then try to pick one that like really represents the heistiness of the whole movie. And kind of figure out what those tropes are, that a good movie should have. And then some movies like play with those tropes a little bit, like if you watch something like Reservoir Dogs, right? They don't ever show the actual heist. It's all the planning and then the aftermath of what happens after the end. Like, he never shows the heist. It's not an important part of that movie because he's playing with the things that make a heist movie. And so I was kind of thinking about what does make one. I did notice that heist movies tend to go in one of two directions. There's kind of like the adventure-y, like more action adventure type of heist movie where it's like there's action sequences and there's like cool stuff and it's all like, or there's like the serious drama where everything is just like sad, right? And like it's like much heavier tone of the movie. So you kind of get these two different tones depending on the director. You have like the heavy movie that's like really serious and like really foreboding and then you have like the slightly more fun action adventure-y one. So depending on your mood, you can pick from one of these two things. So I kind of decided that out of all of these movies that I watched, the one that really just kind of takes the heist movie and just presents it to you in all its glory is 2003's The Italian Job. I watched that one again. I like this movie a lot. I haven't seen it. I have seen this movie before, but not for like years, right? I haven't probably watched it for forever. And so I did watch the original one too, just to compare it a little bit. That movie's weird. Anyway, the 2003 one, though, I thought is really cool because you have the defined team, right? You have the planning guy. You have the explosives guy, the driver guy, the computer guy, the safecracker person, right? In this movie, it's a lady, but you have the safecracker lady. So you have all the roles defined. They plan out everything, and then like something happens, and then they have to like re-plan as they go, try to modify their plan. They're trying to do that, all that stuff. So I really like that aspect of the movie. It really showcases the working together part to make it heisty. Like we talked about, that teamwork aspect is really important in this movie. Like, you can't, the thing that they're trying to do is they can't, you can't do it with just one person. So you really have to have everybody working together, and the plan has to go just exactly a certain way. Otherwise it isn't going to work. So that's where the tension in the movie comes from, is that like, oh, okay, here it has to do this. This is how it has to go. And then kind of the part at the end of this movie is where that turn happens, is they're trying to steal all the money. It's gold bars, right? It's the thing. From the person who knows they're trying to steal it. Like, they know they're trying to steal it, and they have to like outwit them to steal the money back. So it's this whole thing of this kind of like cat and mouse. So like, oh, well, I know you're going to do this, so I'm going to put in this countermeasure, and then the team has to like go back and like redo the thing, right? It's very kind of, that's where the tension and the excitement comes from the movie. And I really think it just really shows, it has all the elements of a good heist movie. Now, is all the dialogue in this movie wonderful? Not all of it, but they do have a lot of good moments where the characters interact with each other, and you can tell that they work together a lot, and you have this really interesting dynamic happening. So it makes it kind of like a fun, and it falls more on the fun action movie side, because you do have the iconic sweet Mini Cooper getaway car scene stuff happening, you know. That's very fun. Everyone loves that Mini Cooper driving sequence, right? Obviously. So that was my heist movie that we picked. And side note, I watched it with Susan, and she also liked The Italian Job. So it's Susan approved as well. If that which, as we know, is very important for movie choices. So after your thoughts, any different thoughts on the genre as a whole, if you had not like experienced enough? What do you think now, Colin, after watching that heist movie? Kind of, do you like the genre? Do you kind of like those tropes? Do they make a good movie, do you think? Are they interesting? Aaron, same question since Colin is gone.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Aaron, you can answer. I forgot that I was muted.
I think for me, like, you know, it's what's the word? I think it's like a lot of it's part of the thrill of like what you're getting yourself into. Of like, yes, even though like you know that they're trying to steal something, it's like everything in between. It's like, oh well, you know, that this may not work, and you know, it's a smidge actiony. It's got, you know, to me anyways, like it's got a lot of, you know, interweaving parts, because, you know, trying to plan something is not easy by any means, but having both of those, you know, those aspects of like, oh, it's complicated, convoluted, and like, oh, there's a twist. Having all of those in some form or function, I think is kind of brilliant. So those are one of the things that for me that I truly enjoy about heist movies, even though like it's something that I traditionally don't like. Oh man, this heist movie is coming out in theaters, I'm going to go watch it. It's more of a, oh, this is on, like, let's watch this. Oh, this is actually really good. So
that's interesting, because I don't think a lot of movies are actually advertised as heist movies.
Heist movies, right? Yeah, because it falls in either the genres, like, oh, this is an action pack, or or to follow kind of the, you know, the memes that come out recently of, you know, the Fast and the Furious, like, oh, this is for family.
For family. I was looking at that and I realized that, whoa, the Fast and Furious half of them are heist movies. Who knew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a side conversation we have later.
I would have ended this podcast earlier if either of you had watched Fast and Furious movies for this.
I have a new. Well, we can talk about that later. I'll table that one because I don't want to derail this. But I have a thought about those. But yeah, I agree. Like that, it does have that excitement. But I think it's weird that it's not like a. It is definitely its own genre, and it has its own genre tropes and its own kind of style of movie. And a lot of movies are not advertised as heist movies, right? Like, I don't know about them as heist movies because they are just like, oh, the action-packed adventure ride. And it's just because I was looking at that list, and there's some movies that have come out in the last 5 years, and I didn't know that they qualified as heist movies based on the trailers that I'd seen and stuff. But when I kind of read the synopsis, I was like, yeah, that's a heist movie. I think they get lumped in as just like action or crime movies.
Yeah.
And there's not like a, you know, they're not advertised as like, this is a heist movie. I don't know if that's, people don't care about heist movies.
I think
it's
a lot
not
of
a
people
genre
think
that's
a distinction without a different.
That's possible.
given just, well, aren't they just stealing something, right? That's just crime, or it's an action movie, because it does
an action movie, yeah.
But I think like you, I really enjoyed this, and some of the movies that I had seen too, of like Ocean's 11 is obviously one of my all-time favorite movies across every genre, and I think it's because it has all of these little components in it that I think only really heist movies tend to have, and of those components of having a team working together, and we've hit that on the nail a lot, but I think that's just really, really critical to...
Well, you get those cool character dynamics, and especially in the Oceans series, they really highlight the character interplay with each other. I think that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, and it makes for good stories, and it makes for good drama, making them work together and relying on each other.
Yeah, that's how you end up rooting for them, even though they're like committing a crime. You, the audience, is like, yeah, get them, right? Like, you're like, wait, I shouldn't be, but I am, because they're so likable, right? And I want them to succeed because I've seen this whole thing, and I see how they interact with everybody, and I know their motivation, all that stuff. And you get that through their interaction and dialogue and stuff.
Yeah. I think what turned me off for Inception was it obviously very convoluted, so the heistiness kind of loses the thread while they're jumping between dream worlds and consciousness.
Yeah.
It gets a little dense, and it takes itself like really seriously. So it's like, okay, we all know this is real, right? So I think a more lighthearted, I think I'm probably more in line with the more lighthearted one. But again, it's not a bad movie. It was good. It took him 10 years to make, so there's a lot involved in that. But I definitely appreciate the genre very much, and I'm looking forward to finding more. I think more, maybe kind of like Inception. That's what I tried to do, is find one that wasn't quite on the nose of like, this is definitional to this, because I kind of like to see how those themes and these components that we've talked about kind of get played with or drawn out or whatever in the movie itself, to try and say like, oh, well, this movie is actually a heist movie, but you wouldn't know unless you're thinking about it as a heist movie.
Yeah, that's fair. I picked the one I did because I was trying to find the one that was like a genre defining, like what if you boil it all down, what do you get?
Sure.
But I think that is good too. That's what it would be a good thing to explore later, is like, okay, now I know these things. What else can qualify as this? And it's a pretty, it's been around as a genre for quite a long time. It's an old genre. Now, I was surprised that Aaron said he found a Japanese movie. Because the only heist movies I could find, they're either English or American. All of them. So I don't know if that's true. International friends, you can let us know. Are there good heist movies from other countries? But it felt like all the lists I could find, I even tried to look for like international directors and stuff. I got nothing. Right? English, American. That was it. So I don't know.
Well, in Castle of Cagliostro is a Miyazaki movie, isn't it?
Ooh, hold on here. I gotta look up who directed it. Hold on. Yeah, well, I think it had I had 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Director Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, so that may be why he pulls some of those themes too.
He does like to experiment with these things.
Yeah.
But I know, like in Japanese, in that media, movies and anime, like the crime movie is big. That's a genre thing. But like, I couldn't find any like heisty ones. So I think it's very interesting that it's now, again, did it do tons of research? I wouldn't call my research exhaustive, but like, I couldn't find any list of like top 5 best German heist movies, right? That wasn't a thing. So it's interesting that that's all I could find. But again, that's all I found. So international audience, help us out here. Give us your recommendations if your country has an exciting heist movie that we need to know about.
Yes. And because we're at some point we're going to need to circle back around and go through some of these genres again. To do some follow up with them.
That's true. But we should probably do more than just one genre at a time. So
yes.
Again, there is a list you can look at. We can come up with another one of these for some other time because I liked it. I thought it was fun to kind of just pick a genre of movie.
I like that. Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we'll have to.
Especially, I'm glad the Aaron picked the standard one.
Yeah.
Not just like action movie.
Yeah.
Because so I think that was good. Good choice, Aaron.
Thank you. I'll try.
Very good. Well, have a good rest of your week.
You guys as well.
And
all right, yeah, you too.
With a new topic, new challenge, or just general commentary on the world around.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.